Commander Maya Chen stared at the holographic display floating above her desk in the lunar base's secure command center. The data streaming across it confirmed her worst fears about humanity's supposed allies in the Galactic Council. For 3 years, she had led the covert investigation into anomalies in Earth's approved technology programs, and now the truth was undeniable. "Run the analysis again, AI," she commanded the quantum AI that had helped uncover the deception. The artificial intelligence, developed in secret using principles that would have given their galactic overseers fits, compiled the evidence once more. The results were damning. Every piece of advanced technology provided by the Council contained subtle limitations, quantum locks buried so deep in their architecture that they had gone unnoticed for decades. The aliens hadn't come as mentors, but as jailers, systematically stunting human technological growth while maintaining the illusion of progress. Maya's hand clenched into a fist as she reviewed footage from their first contact 15 years ago. The Council's representatives, with their crystalline bodies and flowing movements, had seemed so benevolent as they offered humanity membership in their galactic community. Now she saw the predatory calculation behind every generous gesture. "Commander," Aria's measured voice interrupted her thoughts. "I've detected a new pattern in the Council's quantum suppression matrix. They're not just limiting our technological development, they're actively scanning for signs of independent advancement." Maya leaned forward, her dark eyes narrowing. "Show me." The display shifted to reveal an intricate web of quantum sensors threaded throughout Earth's atmosphere. Any scientific breakthrough that went beyond the Council's approved pathways would trigger immediate intervention. They were trapped in a technological cage, with bars made of laws, treaties, and helpful suggestions. "Get me Admiral Drake," Maya ordered, reaching for the quantum-encrypted communicator hidden in her desk. This wasn't just about technology anymore. It was about humanity's right to determine its own destiny. Admiral Sarah Drake's weathered face appeared in the holographic display. Before Maya could speak, the Admiral held up a hand. "Let me guess. You've found something that makes this even worse than we thought. The Council isn't just monitoring us, Sarah. They're actively suppressing any civilization that might one day challenge their dominance. We're not the only victims, just the latest in a long line of species they've kept under their thumb." Drake's expression hardened. "How many others?" ARIA has identified quantum suppression signatures around at least 30 other worlds. Some have been under Council control for millennia, their development frozen at whatever point the Council deemed safe. "Then it's time," Drake declared, her voice carrying the weight of command. "Initiate Project Prometheus." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. For the past 5 years, Earth's best minds had worked in absolute secrecy, developing technologies that operated on principles the Council had never imagined. While publicly playing the role of obedient students, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in chambers shielded from the Council's quantum sensors, the first ships of Earth's true fleet waited. They didn't use conventional engines or standard power sources. They operated in the spaces between normal spacetime, invisible to the Council's monitoring systems. "All section heads, this is Commander Chen," Maya announced over the secure quantum network. "Operation Prometheus is now active. Commence Phase 1. Across the solar system, hidden facilities sprang to life. On Mars, asteroids, and in the spaces between worlds, humanity's secret preparations began to bear fruit. The Council thought they had contained humanity's growth. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As Maya watched the first ships power up their revolutionary drives, she thought about the Council's fundamental mistake. They had assumed that by controlling humanity's technological development, they could prevent any challenge to their power. But they had failed to understand that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology. It was its relentless determination to overcome any obstacle in its path. "ARIA, begin the countdown," Maya commanded, "and send the coded message to all our allies among the suppressed worlds. It's time they knew the truth about their benevolent overlords." In the vast darkness of space, Humanity's liberation fleet prepared to move. The Council had spent millennia perfecting their system of control, but they had never faced a species quite like humanity before. They were about to learn why you should never cage a creature that evolved as a persistence hunter. The revolution was about to begin, and this time, the hunters would become the hunted. Project Prometheus' primary research facility, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Martian surface, hummed with barely contained energy. Dr. Kenzo Tanaka watched as his team made final adjustments to the quantum void drive that would change everything. The technology they'd developed didn't just circumvent the Council's restrictions. It rewrote the rules of physics as the Council understood them. Final containment test initiating, announced Dr. Elena Santos, her hands dancing across holographic controls that operated on principles the Council had never imagined. The drive core pulsed with a strange non-light that existed between conventional states of matter, a phenomenon they dubbed void resonance. The Council's observers on Mars's surface remained oblivious, their quantum sensors detecting nothing unusual. They were looking for specific energy signatures, like guards searching for escapees along known paths, while the prisoners dug a tunnel right beneath their feet. Quantum signature nullified, Elena reported, a fierce grin on her face. We're completely invisible to their detection grid. Kenzo allowed himself a small smile. 3 years of work, countless setbacks, and more than a few close calls with Council inspectors had led to this moment. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source, studying the quantum structure of human consciousness itself. While the Council relied on rigid, deterministic quantum mechanics, humanity had discovered that consciousness operated in the spaces between quantum states. By applying these principles to technology, they'd created systems that were, effectively, invisible to conventional quantum detection methods. Dr. Tanaka, his AI assistant Teor, interrupted. Admiral Drake is requesting a facility-wide briefing. The massive underground chamber's main display lit up with Sarah Drake's image. Behind her, Kenzo could see the Lunar Command Center where humanity's resistance was being coordinated. Ladies and gentlemen, Drake began, her voice carrying both authority and urgency. Operation Prometheus enters its final phase in 48 hours. Thanks to your work, we have a fleet of ships equipped with technology the Council cannot detect or counter. But ships alone won't be enough. The display split to show Commander Chen, who had spearheaded the investigation that revealed the Council's true nature. We've identified quantum suppression signatures around 30 other civilizations, she reported. Some have been trapped in technological stasis for thousands of years. They'll be our allies, if we can free them. Kenzo stepped forward. The quantum void drive isn't just a propulsion system, he explained. It's a key that can unlock the Council's suppression matrix. Every ship we've built carries a quantum resonance pulse that can shatter their control protocols. And once those protocols are broken, Drake asked, the affected civilizations will be able to access their full technological potential immediately, Elena added. The Council doesn't prevent development. They freeze it. Break the freeze, and millennia of suppressed innovation will be released in an instant. The implications were staggering. 30 civilizations, each with thousands of years of pent-up technological progress, suddenly free to advance. The Council's carefully maintained order would shatter. There's more, Kenzo continued. We've discovered why the Council fears technological advancement so much. Their entire civilization is built on stolen innovation. They haven't truly progressed in millennia. They just appropriate the developments of species they later suppress. Without new civilizations to harvest, their society will stagnate. Drake's expression hardened. Then we'll be doing the galaxy a favor by breaking their system. Dr. Tanaka, what's the status of the combat applications? Kenzo gestured, and a holographic display showed their latest breakthrough. Weapons that operated on quantum void principles. Traditional shields are useless against them. You can't block what technically doesn't exist in normal spacetime. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of final preparations. Throughout the solar system, hidden shipyards activated. Crews who had trained for years in secret simulators boarded vessels that defied conventional physics. The quantum void drives hummed in their non-existence, ready to carry humanity's vengeance to the heart of the Council's power. In his private lab, Kenzo made one final modification to the quantum resonance pulse. The Council had spent thousands of years building their cage, convinced that their understanding of physics was absolute. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't technology. It was the ability to imagine possibilities that their jailers had never dreamed of. "All stations report ready," Theodore announced. Kenzo took a deep breath, thinking of all the civilizations trapped in the Council's quantum prison. Tomorrow, humanity would not just break free. They would shatter the cage itself. "Begin final countdown," he ordered. "It's time to show the Council why you should never try to contain a species that turned impossible into a challenge." The quantum void fleet materialized from nothing near the Council's primary monitoring station in the Sirius system. Captain Aria Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the ESS Prometheus as their target grew larger in the view screen, a massive crystalline structure that served as the hub for the Council's suppression network in this sector of space. "No reaction from their defenses," reported Lieutenant James Chen, his fingers dancing across sensor controls that operated between quantum states. "They literally can't see us." The station hung suspended in space, its crystalline surfaces refracting starlight in complex patterns. To conventional sensors, the human fleet didn't exist. They operated in the spaces between normal spacetime, invisible to the Council's monitoring systems. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta," Aria commanded through the quantum void comm system. "Remember, we only get one shot at complete surprise. Make it count." The fleet moved with practiced precision, taking up positions around the station. Each ship carried weapons that operated on principles the Council had never imagined. Quantum void torpedoes that could pass through any shield, and reality phase beams that could sever the quantum bonds holding matter together. "Target their primary quantum core," Aria ordered. "Fire on my mark." The moment of truth had arrived. For decades, the Council had kept humanity confined, limited, controlled. Now, they would learn the cost of their arrogance. "Fire." The quantum void torpedoes launched, passing through the station's shields as if they didn't exist. They struck the quantum core simultaneously, their energy releasing not in normal space, but in the void between realities. The effect was devastating. The station's crystalline structure began to fracture, not just physically but quantum mechanically. The Council's suppression protocols, embedded in the very fabric of the station, shattered. Emergency signals blazed across Council space, but for the first time in millennia, they faced an enemy they couldn't detect or counter. "Multiple Council vessels incoming," James reported, "but their weapons can't lock onto our quantum signatures. We're ghosts to them." Aria allowed herself a grim smile. "Begin Phase 2. Transmit the liberation codes." Throughout the station, quantum resonance pulses rippled outward, carrying a message encoded in the spaces between conventional quantum states. The signal would reach every suppressed civilization in the sector, breaking the quantum locks that had held them in technological stasis. "Ma'am," James called out, excitement in his voice, "we're receiving responses. The Arcturus Collective, the Vega Alliance. They're all confirming receipt of the liberation codes. Their suppression protocols are failing." The Council ships arrived to find their monitoring station in chaos. Their weapons passed harmlessly through the human vessels, while quantum void beams sliced through their hulls with surgical precision. But destruction wasn't the goal. This was about sending a message. "Broadcast on all frequencies," Aria commanded. "Let them hear us for the first time." Her voice echoed across Council communications networks. "To the Galactic Council, your age of suppression ends today. Humanity rejects your protection and your control. We have freed ourselves, and we will free others. Your technological cage no longer contains us." The Council ships attempted to respond, but their quantum communications were in disarray. The human fleet had struck at the heart of their control system, and the ripples were spreading throughout the galaxy. Additional quantum signatures detected, James reported. The Arcturus fleet. They've adapted our void technology already. Their ships are phasing out of normal space. This was what the Council had feared most. Not just one species breaking free, but the cascade effect of multiple civilizations suddenly unleashing millennia of suppressed innovation. Their carefully maintained order was unraveling. All ships, prepare for phase jump, area ordered. Next target is their primary control hub in the Betelgeuse system. As the fleet prepared to jump, Area received a priority transmission from Earth Command. Commander Chen's face appeared on her screen, her expression triumphant. Captain Rodriguez, the Council's quantum suppression network is collapsing sector by sector. We're receiving signals from civilizations we didn't even know were trapped. This isn't just a rebellion anymore. It's a revolution. Area nodded. They thought they could cage us with physics and rules. They never understood that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept limitations. The quantum void drives powered up, and the fleet disappeared between moments of time. The Council had spent millennia perfecting their system of control, but they had never faced a species that turned impossible into a challenge. The revolution had begun, and there would be no containing it. High Counselor Zix watched their carefully maintained order crumble through quantum crystalline displays in the Council's emergency command center. The humans' quantum void technology had rendered centuries of defensive preparations useless, and now the unthinkable was happening. Suppressed species were breaking free across the galaxy. Another sector has gone dark. First Administrator Ven reported, their crystalline form flickering with distress patterns. The Arcturus Collective has completely shattered their suppression protocols. They're already advancing beyond containment parameters. The Council chamber, hewn from living crystal in the heart of their capital world, rang with discord. Representatives from the founding races argued violently, their usual facade of unity shattered by fear. How did we miss this? Demanded Councillor Rax. The humans were contained, limited, controlled. Because we became trapped by our own assumptions, Zix replied, watching as another monitoring station went dark. We looked for advancement along paths we understood. They went somewhere else entirely. The quantum displays showed the extent of the disaster. 30% of their suppression network had already failed. The human fleet, operating between normal spacetime, struck with impunity at key control nodes. Worse, the liberated species were rapidly adopting and improving upon the quantum void technology. The Vega Alliance has broken containment, Ven announced. Their ships are using modified void drives that our sensors can't even theoretically detect. The chamber erupted in chaos. The Vega Alliance had been one of their first conquered species, held in stasis for over 10,000 years. Now they were free, and millennia of suppressed innovation were being unleashed in a matter of hours. We must sue for peace, suggested Councillor Trell, always the voice of compromise. Offer them true partnership before. Before what? Rax interrupted. Before they realize that our entire civilization is built on stolen innovation. Before they discover that we haven't truly advanced in millennium because we relied on harvesting the developments of species we later suppressed. The truth hung in the chamber like a quantum torpedo about to detonate. The Council's power had always been based on maintaining technological superiority, but they had achieved that superiority through theft and suppression, not true advancement. New quantum signature detected, Ven reported, their voice carrying a note of fear. The humans have made contact with the Nexus Archive. Absolute silence fell in the chamber. The Nexus Archive had been their first and greatest conquest, a civilization so advanced that the early Council had barely managed to suppress them. They had been held in stasis for 50,000 years, their vast knowledge locked away by the most powerful quantum protocols the Council could devise. Show us, Zix commanded. The display shifted to show a massive structure deep in what had once been Nexus space. Lightning-like quantum distortions rippled across its surface as human void ships surrounded it, transmitting liberation codes. The quantum locks that had held for 50 millennia were failing. "We're receiving a transmission," then announced, "from all of them." The combined voices of humanity, the Arcturus Collective, the Vega Alliance, and dozens of other liberated species filled the chamber. "The age of suppression is over. Your empire of stolen innovation ends today. Surrender or be rendered irrelevant." Zix watched as more sectors went dark, more species broke free. The Council had spent thousands of years perfecting their system of control, convinced that their understanding of physics and quantum mechanics was supreme. They had never imagined that a species would simply step outside that understanding entirely. "We should have seen this coming," Zix mused as their empire crumbled. "We tried to cage a species that evolved to outlast and outthink every obstacle in its path. We didn't just fail, we gave them the motivation to surpass us entirely." In the quantum displays, the liberated fleets converged on the Council capital. Their ships moved through spaces that shouldn't exist, wielding weapons that defied conventional physics. The age of the Council was ending, undone by the very species they had tried to suppress. The revolution couldn't be contained because it operated outside the bounds of what they had thought possible. The hunters had become the hunted, and their prey had evolved beyond their grasp. 1 year after the Council's fall, Commander Maya Chen stood aboard the observation deck of Nexus Station, watching ships from 100 liberated civilizations move through the quantum void corridors that now connected the galaxy. The former Council capital had been transformed into a hub of true collaboration and innovation. Dr. Kenzo Tanaka approached, his holographic displays showing the latest breakthrough from the combined research teams. "The Arcturians have married their quantum mathematics with our void technology. We can now traverse the spaces between realities with perfect precision." The Nexus Archive's vast knowledge, finally unlocked after 50,000 years, had catalyzed an explosion of advancement. But instead of hoarding innovations, the liberated species shared them freely through the new Galactic Coalition. The Vega Alliance reports their quantum consciousness studies are ready for practical application. Maya noted, reviewing incoming data. "Combined with Nexus temporal mechanics, we might achieve what the Council always feared: true technological singularity without loss of conscious control." The Council's remnants had surrendered after their capital fell, their power breaking not from military defeat, but from the revelation of their technological stagnation. Their civilization had sustained itself by suppressing others, creating an empire of stolen innovation that collapsed when truly challenged. A quantum distortion announced the arrival of Admiral Drake's flagship, emerging from void space. The vessel represented the latest integration of multi-species technology, operating on principles that the Council had never imagined possible. "The last suppression node has been dismantled," Drake reported as she joined them. "Every trapped civilization is now free to determine its own path. The question is, what now?" Maya gestured to the vast starfield before them. Ships of dozens of species moved in complex patterns, each incorporating technologies and insights from the others. The quantum void networks pulsed with constant exchanges of knowledge and ideas. "Now we do what humanity has always done best," she answered. "We explore, we innovate, we overcome limitations not by controlling others, but by pushing ourselves further." The Nexus Archive's ancient knowledge had revealed a startling truth. The universe was far stranger and more wonderful than even the Council had known. By trying to control and suppress advancement, they had blocked themselves from discovering entire realms of possibility. "The Arcturus Collective has proposed an expedition beyond the galaxy's edge," Kenzo added, excitement clear in his voice. "Their void space calculations suggest there are entire dimensions we haven't explored yet." This was humanity's true victory, not just breaking free, but ensuring no species would ever be caged again. The coalition operated on principles of shared advancement and mutual growth, turning former competitors into collaborators. Another signal from the Void Network, Maya's AI assistant announced. The Vega Alliance has successfully tested their consciousness transfer technology. They're offering to share the research with all coalition members. This was what the Council had feared most, not just technological advancement, but the free exchange of ideas and innovations across species. They had never understood that true progress came not from control, but from collaboration. The observation deck filled with representatives from dozens of species as the Coalition's governing council prepared to meet. Each brought unique perspectives and insights, contributing to a tapestry of advancement that grew richer by the day. To think, Drake mused, all of this started because they tried to cage a species that evolved to overcome every obstacle in its path. Maya nodded, watching as another void ship emerged from quantum space, carrying new discoveries from the galactic core. They thought they could contain us with rules and limitations. Instead, they taught us to look for paths they never imagined existed. The stars stretched out before them, infinite in their possibility. Humanity had not only broken free, they had helped create something entirely new. A galaxy where advancement came not from suppression and control, but from the combined innovative spirit of all sentient species. The age of limitations was over. The age of exploration had begun.